Let's do it. Let's do it. We are in the presence of greatness. Ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to New York City high school basketball, New York City AAU basketball, this brother has seen it all, done it all. None other than Coach Kenny Pretlow. Kenny P, how are you, sir?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Thanks for the dope intro.
Nah, you deserve it. And thank you for joining us here. Kenny, allow me to share with the audience how I was first introduced to you.
Okay.
The last few years, you brought your high school team, Law and Tech Jets, to participate in my friend's tournament, the Loyal to the Game Summer Classic.
Yes.
Every summer, spearheaded by my guy, Kayvon Baker.
Yes.
And the people out there, they would say, yo, Will, that's Kenny P. He's a legend. I said, okay, I'll be out the loop. I wasn't really familiar with the resume, but these my guys, I'll take their word for it. And over the year, I would hear about some things that you had done in the sport. But recently, Meta World Peace, formerly known as Ron Artest.
Ron, as I call him. Only name I call him.
He was on a podcast with Shannon Sharp, the Hall of Fame tight end, Super Bowl champion, sports media phenom.
Yes.
And Ron was telling a story about growing up in New York City, being a young baller, and his team had won a championship, but he was mad because he was not named game MVP. So he broke everybody's trophy. Shannon Sharp said, but what did your coaches say? Ron said, we were winning. I was one of the best players. They ain't say much. But there was this one coach that would yell at me. This one coach that would hold me accountable, Kenny Pretlow.
Yes.
Kenny P, when I heard that, I said, oh, you a legend, man. A legend. Kenny P, what did you think when you heard that story?
I mean, it's just amazing that Ron remembers that. Mm-hmm. Ron had a lot of rough edges, but I knew he was going to be very successful. And I was one of the few guys that would challenge him on a couple of things. Because he was very, very good. He also... this was amazing too, it wasn't on the podcast, someone had told him to rank the top 5 coaches he's ever played for. Mm-hmm. He actually put Artie Cox first.
Who's that?
That's he used to do he was the JV coach at Christ the King.
Okay.
He put Phil Jackson second, but he had me 5th.
Wow.
And that's amazing to me also because, not that I brag about it, but I tell my kids, this is the type of impact that I try to have, that years from now, you'll remember something I said to you or did to you to help you get along the way.
Yo, Kenny, when I heard that, I said, this is phenomenal. Ron Artest has been around the game 20 plus years. He's been around the globe,
yes,
right? In tough battles going against Kobe, winning a championship next to Kobe. Right. And these dudes are recording a podcast, Los Angeles, miles and miles away. And for your name to come up, I thought it was phenomenal.
Yes.
I felt great pride just knowing you, just being a part of the New York City basketball landscape, man. I thought that was great. Right. And it's funny because the coaches that let him get away with whatever, they remain nameless. It was you, somebody that tried to hold him accountable, that was mentioned. And I feel like that's being lost today. Like the coaches are just running behind players, letting them do what they want to do. What you think?
I'm old school.
Yes, sir.
I'm from an era where you were held accountable. Mm-hmm. I played my coach. If we did something wrong, there was a consequence.
Yeah.
And I tell my kids that to this day. There's repercussions and consequences for every action you take. Mm-hmm. So in that split second, try to think clearly before you act. So when a kid does something that he's not supposed to do, then I hold them accountable to that.
But Kenny, it's a real fear for coaches, especially today. Hey, man, if I piss this kid off, he's going to leave, and then we're not going to win, and then I'm not going to have my sneaker deal, and then I'm not going to win game. That's a real concern for coaches, Kenny.
Yes, but as I told my team yesterday, we had our grade meeting yesterday because their progress reports came out. I don't care about basketball. Mm-hmm. I use basketball as a tool to get you ready for life. Not all of you going to play basketball past high school. Some of you are not going to play past college. Most of you probably won't play past college. So my job is to prepare you for life because I think basketball mirrors life. You learn discipline, you learn how to work as a team, you work time on tasks, and you got to work hard. You have to juggle school, practice, games, and I tell them if you can't do it in high school, college, it gets more intense because in high school, I tell my kids, a lot of them, well, Coach, I forgot to hand in my assignment. When I hand it in, my grade going to go up. Well, why is your assignment not done when it was due?
Right.
Because when you go to college, that professor's not accepting that late assignment. So it's just, I understand what you're saying, and a lot of guys are like that, and they're not coaches. They're not coaches because they're not teaching that kid anything. That kid knows. Right. He's not going to get on me because I'll leave. I'll go play over there.
Right.
And I tell the kid, hey, you want to go play over there? Go play over there. Because over here, that's not going to be accepted.
That's dope, man. That's dope. And I had Light Cheese Larry in here, and he confirmed that. He said, Kenny P, he don't care about winning. Like you're going to do the right thing.
Yes.
But it's funny, even in that process, you end up winning.
Yes.
If you do it the right way.
The byproduct, like I tell the kids, of you doing everything we're supposed to do,
yes,
the byproduct of that is we're going to be successful on the court and off the court. So I tell them, this is not a basketball team, this is a basketball program. And to be part of my program, there are certain rules and expectations that you will be held to. And most kids know because they see it in action. Like Larry's team, we won the championship, and Victor Obo was the starting center.
Big Vic.
His sophomore year, Victor decided he didn't want to come to practice. He wasn't working hard, so I suspended him. He decided he was going to transfer to George Westinghouse.
Yeah.
And without going into particulars, he put in a fraudulent claim because he said he was jumped at our school, so he needed a safety transfer on the day there was no school.
Wow.
So I suspended him, and I'll tell you this, he was contrite. He wrote an essay to me every day, and we eventually reinstated him toward about 2-3 months later. He didn't run, he owed up to his mistake, and like I said, he was the starting center on our championship team.
Wow.
And he's in college now.
He sure is. Big Vic. Big Vic. Another good player I like coming through to the Summer Classic, man. Big man, nice hands and stuff, man.
Yes.
Kenny P teaching them boys lessons, man. That is amazing. Back to Ron. Where did you coach him? Is this Riverside?
Well, before we went to Riverside, that was like a thing. I started with Artie Cox. We had our own little program. We were pretty good.
Okay. What's the name?
We were
Metro Hawks?
No, that was before. Metro Hawks was another team. Okay. We were just simply BQ Express. Okay. Because I was from Brooklyn, he was from Queens, gotcha. And we took the expressway. That's how we came up with the name.
That's dope.
So Brooklyn Queens Express. Met Ron at 10.
At where? At 10 years old. Okay.
10 years old. Put him in first tournament he played, housing. One of my first starts, the housing tournament. Got him playing in there. And he was phenomenal. You could see it. And then from there, we just did so many other tournaments. Eventually, Riverside heard, hey, there's a good program down there. So they start sponsoring us. So our name became Riverside BQ Express. Okay. And then eventually, we all went to Riverside.
Tell the people about Riverside and what this movement was about, Kenny. Because you guys were AAU basketball before all of these programs. You were the program.
Yes. I mean, not to brag, back in those days, the church was the church. I mean, we were the dominant AAU team. We were the first team that Nike ever sponsored. We had the best players. I mean, the only program at that time that was on par with us that could, beat us in the games and had really good players was the Gauchos, of course. And then, what's his name? So the two of us together were pretty dominant. But we were a dominant team. I mean, we had, on that team, we had Elton Brand, Ron Artest, Lamar Odom, and Eric Barkley.
Wow.
All four of them were pros. Lamar eventually left the program and went to play for the Long Island Panthers, Gary Charles, and he built up. But we kept those three. And they were just dominant. I mean, there was nothing we could really do with them. Any team could do their senior year, going into high school on the summer circuit, they went 89-1.
Wow.
Yes.
But Kenny, so Riverside, you are associated with the church up in Harlem.
Yes.
This program, you guys are going around the country, the globe, really.
Yes. We went to Europe, we was playing a great tournament over there called Le Tourney de Cadet, which was a younger tournament, 18 and under. And it was amazing going over there. I actually coached against Tony Parker when he was 16, because over there, they have academies. So those kids don't have to go to regular high school. So he was in his academy. Yao Ming played 1 year. It was a great experience. But we would go over there and the kids would see being treated like rock stars, because we're Americans. So we would sign autographs after the game, get mobbed too, not like one or two, mobbed to the point where they said, come on, we gotta go eat, dragging the kids out. But all of the kids from Riverside, we did that up until the unrest with, with the wars over there. And then we decided it wasn't safe to take kids abroad anymore.
So what's the mission for the church at this point? It's spearheaded. Who brought you in? A gentleman by the name of?
When I was there, Mr. Lortz was heading the program. I was brought in by Mike McAlay and Thurman Player, who's a very close friend and confidant of mine, one of my mentors. Right. And those are the guys that brought me in.
So Ernie Lorch is kind of, he's a corporate attorney.
Yes.
Right? He's like a benefactor. Like, what's his motivation for this program? Like, what do you guys set out to accomplish? Like, the mission?
He was a member of the church himself. And then 1 year, there's a little, everybody doesn't know, there's a little basement gym in the church. And 1 year he decided to just have a little team sports program. He didn't think big. And he just started it from there. And it just grew because he started, going out to different tournaments, getting better players. And the start of AAU basketball, I think, was started by him. And then the Gauchos eventually joined in, headed by Lou DeMayo and Dave McCullum. And those were worthy adversaries.
You guys, like, a lot is going on because not only do you got the sneaker contract, of course you want to send players to college, but you helping find guys, high schools. Like, I heard that Ernie Lorch paid tuition for guys to go to Bishop Blockland.
Yes, we had a tuition program that was for kids in need, so they would have to, fill out an application. But most kids that needed it got it. I think at a high, we were probably paying 50 tuitions. And once you were granted the tuition, it went for 4 years. So we had guys that stopped playing basketball, but they still had their tuitions paid.
Wow.
Yes, because it was open mostly to basketball guys. But like I said, once Mr. Lortz committed to the 4-year tuition, he never would cut a kid off. That tuition got paid for all 4 years.
So how are you feeling at this time, like, as far as your career? Like, this is my basketball life. This is what I'm going to do forever?
Yeah, well, I mean, when I went to Riverside, it put me on a bigger stage. I have been what I consider a little successful. I started my own little program where I grew up. I grew up in Williamsburg Projects. The name of my team was the Williamsburg Stars. And I was playing in housing and may rest in peace, this guy named Chico ran a little league in Lindsay Park. So I would branch out, and as I would beat teams, I would notice, hey, this kid is pretty good, And at that time, since I had grew up playing in Citywide and a couple other tournaments uptown, I would tell the kids, that kid, hey, why don't you come play with us in this tournament since your coach is only playing in housing. Right. But one of the kids, one of my first really good players was Steve Middleton, who went to Southern Illinois. He's the second leading scorer behind Walt Frazier there. And he was really good. He went to Tilden.
Samuel J. Tilden.
Yes, he went to Tilden. He played with Gary Shears. They were a hell of a backcourt. And he was like the first real, really, really, really good player I had. Like, he was really good. In game, he's getting 30, 10 rebounds. He's killing it. And I just started building up, like I said. Then I met Artie, so we combined. So I ended Williamsburg, started BQ Express. And then I left Artie and went to Riverside. He didn't come with me the first time. Riverside put me on the biggest stage.
Right.
So now I'm being sent to all over. I'm going to tournaments in Colorado. I'm going to tournaments in Arizona, and I'm winning.
Yeah.
You know, I'm winning.
They trusted you with a team. Like, yo, Kenny, go
Yes.
take these boys out there and bring back the goal.
Yes, yes. I mean, you didn't have to. Like, it was expectations of you that if we're going to send you there, you have a really good team, so you should win. And I went the first year. The one thing when I went to Riverside, I had to be an assistant, and I always give Mike McInerney credit because he said to be a great head coach, you have to learn to be a great assistant. And you have to learn to funnel as an assistant. You make suggestions.
Yes.
You don't make the final call. And as a good assistant, you don't get upset if a suggestion you give is not used.
No way.
You know, so I learned that. And that was Ron in the team. I was an assistant. I wasn't the head coach. And I learned and I saw different things. And, you know, a lot of people say, oh, you had all this talent, but with all that talent, you still got to win.
For sure.
I mean, there have been massive upsets in the world of sports.
For sure.
Mean, Georgetown lost to Villanova.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it's just learning that. But I was put on a bigger stage.
Yeah.
So now from that stage, I start seeing, okay, I'm pretty good. I won that tournament. I went down. I think my first team, I won 50 straight.
Yikes.
Yeah, I started with a 14 under team. It was a very loaded team. On that team, I had Jason Wingate from Rice. I had Keedron Clark, who wound up leading the nation in scoring twice.
At what school?
At St. Peter's.
Okay.
I had a kid named Ricky Saliva, Dominican killer. This kid was great, and that started me out. Then I went to the high school team. Omar Cook, Mike Boynton, who's now the head coach. I had Mike Boynton. I found Mike Boynton in the Jackie Robinson program, which was way back. And the two of them together was
A problem.
problems.
A problem.
Problems. And then you had Kyle Cuff on that team, Zach Williams, who went to Ohio State. Kyle went to St. John's. Terrence Watkins, who went to Long Beach State. The other kid, Andre, he went to Duke, but then he transferred back home to Seton Hall. But we were loaded.
So you rolling.
Rolling.
You rolling.
I'm like, yes.
Expenses paid
Everything's
all year round.
year round.
What was
Feeling
that?
good.
What was that Nike deal like?
Nike deal was great.
Yeah.
I got Jordans on. I got Nike sweatsuits, Nike socks. I don't think I've paid for sneakers the last 20 years. I don't have to buy sneakers.
Right.
Feeling good.
And
Kids are
then,
going to college, you know, being successful. But the one thing I tell guys, and I credit the guys at Riverside, especially Mr. Lorch, who unfortunately has passed on, and a lot of whatever they say happened, I never saw happen.
right.
So I don't understand it. If he did something before I got there, I don't know about it. But he taught me, got to stay humble in this business. So I was humble. You know, I would win. People say this and that and that and this. I let other people appraise my situation. Yeah. I don't have to come back home and say, I'm the greatest coach. I did this, I did that. But I'm building confidence in myself. And like I tell the kids, I know how to coach.
Right.
You got to allow me to coach you, but I can't coach. But I coach life first.
Yes.
As a byproduct of using basketball to get you where you want to be in life. So at Riverside was kind of easy. A lot of talent. But there were teams, Keedron's team, when they went to high school, now 14 under, I won 50 straight. We dominant. But we ain't got no big men. Now when they're 17s, we got no bigs. I'm playing 4 little guards. You know, great shooters, great guys. And I always tell people, even though I was insisting on a team that went 89-1, then Omar and them tried to break that record. They lost 1 game. So now I'm with that team, and we went to the Final Four of every AU tournament we went to, and we won 1. And I said, that was the greatest team I ever coached, because those kids worked together. They made the extra pass. They dug deep on D, because we didn't have a big guy. We were playing teams with 7-footers, like we played team from Boston. The kid went Tavon Francis, 7-footer, and we just doubled and things like that. But those guys worked so hard, and we ran a lot of stuff. The one thing people didn't understand, we practiced at Riverside.
Yeah.
And we took that to the Nike circuit. I met a lot of new guys, Nike circuit, and guys would say, "Wow, you guys run plays. How you get them to do that?"
We practice. We practice.
And seriously, guys on Nike circuit, we don't. Okay, we gotta start practicing.
Gotta start practicing.
And that's why I think the EYBL is one of the toughest leagues. Even before there was the EYBL, all the Nike teams went to the same tournament.
Right.
And after that, my byproduct of me saying we practice, it got harder.
Yes.
Because other teams start coming in with their talent, and now they're running sets in place because they used to just play.
Just flow.
Right.
Right. You brought up Mr. Ernie Lorch, some of the things that have been said about him.
Yes.
There was a point when allegations of sexual assault were levied against him.
Yes.
He actually got arrested.
Yes.
Didn't get indicted or anything, but he got arrested. Kenny, what's that like? You're dealing with this man that's been so gracious with his money and his program, and then you hear these allegations about him.
Right.
Like, how tough of a situation is that? Because like you said, like, I've never seen any of that.
Right.
What do you do?
It was tough at first, and then I actually got subpoenaed.
Okay.
So I had to go testify before a grand jury. Mm-hmm. And there you see more of the teams that they said it was happening with. And I'm like, nah, I was on that. I was the coach on that team. I was his assistant. Like, Mr. Lorch is not going in kids' hotels, Elton Brand in them hotel room.
Right.
Those are grown kids. So when I start seeing that, and they go, the young Mr. Lorch never coached a team below 16 and under. Never. So I start rationalizing. We had a meeting. I'm like, okay, if they're saying this was happening, it had to happen before I got here. Mm-hmm. Because it doesn't happen now. And most of the time, a sexual predator is going to key on the younger kids.
Right.
Not going to try to sexually assault a 17-year-old kid. He'd beat the crap out of you. Mm-hmm. But a 10-year-old, you might be able to, hey, this and that. So I start rationalizing that he doesn't coach that age.
Did you ever ask Mr. Lorch one-on-one, like, without the court, like, yo?
Not really.
Not really.
Not really. I never, because when I saw the case and I start seeing the allegations, I saw what it did to him. And I'm not saying what the other guys brought up didn't happen, but now you're talking about something they said happened 20 years ago.
Right.
So now maybe in those 20 years he changed. Wouldn't still change the fact that that shouldn't happen. Right. But so I rationalized it like that, and to the point that with all the good he's doing, and maybe that's why he did it.
Right.
You know, maybe that was his motivation. I don't know. But he put me in. If it wasn't for Mr. Lorch's program, I wouldn't have became a high school coach. And I probably wouldn't even still be coaching now. Like I say, he put me on a stage where people said, this guy knows what he's doing.
Are there people in your life that are saying, yo, Kenny P, man, with this cloud over this dude, you got to get out of here, man. Like, just leave.
Nah, like all of us that were there the longest, Thurm, me, Mike, like we knew him. Mm-hmm. We knew, you know, and like I said, I can't speak on somebody's past.
Right.
I don't know what happened in the past. I wasn't there. If they was talking about when I went there, so they would have been talking about something when I was 9, 10 years old that happened.
Right.
Because now it's 20 years later. And I'm coaching here, and 20 years later, I'm 10 years old when supposedly some of that stuff happened.
So when some of those guys that you coach, like you said, the Elton Brand teams and stuff, when they are brought into the courtroom?
I don't know if any of them got indicted. I mean, got subpoenaed.
No, you said they started to talk about teams that you were actually a part of.
Yes.
You said no.
Yes.
Why would those teams be brought up then?
Because when the first thing the district attorney did, he opened up a hotline. Now, the first allegation could not be prosecuted because, like I said, supposedly it happened 20 years ago.
The statute of limitations was up.
Statute of limitations was up.
Right.
So that young man, it was no recourse.
Right.
So now they decided that they were going to go after him. Well, if he did it then, he's still doing it.
Right.
So they opened the hotline. That was the first thing. We had to have a meeting at the church. They came in and took all of our records. Like we used to keep records. No, not records, but when a kid try out, they put their address and phone number. They came and seized all that. So they took that. Then they opened up a hotline. Any kid that would want to say something without feeling pressure could call this hotline. They got no calls on the hotline. They subpoenaed the record. They call kids.
Oh, wow.
I know they call kids because parents would tell me, hey, the district attorney called here and talked to my son.
Wow.
They got not one kid that said anything about Mr. Lorch being untoward anyone.
Right.
So at that time, that's when I knew, like, what you trying to say this and stuff? Because nothing for nothing. I mean, if I thought that was happening there, I'm out of here.
For sure.
That's not even going to be debatable. But so they were dealing with current teams. Like, they're asking me about those teams. I'm like, come on, are you serious?
Yeah.
Ron? You don't know who Ron is? He ain't going in there.
Straight
Not
up.
doing that.
Straight up.
And so I think those type of guy, but it did drag him. It took him down.
Yeah. I was looking at the whole situation. It's such a big deal. I don't know. Cameron actually put it in a rap song when he had a beef with Mace. He said, how you going to play tough with me when you let Mr. Lorch touch you? Like that's how much it was known. But both
of them actually played for the church.
Yeah, they did. Both ballers.
Both of them played
Both
for the
ballers.
church.
When I'm looking at it, I'm like, that's a tough situation for Kenny P. Selden Jefferson, who's also coaching the city. He had some comments about how great Mr. Lorch was.
Yes.
Because I believe in judging a man based on how he treats you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So here you have this guy that is doing well for you and the kids, but then they got these allegations from 20 years ago. Right. That's got to be tough. Eventually, Mr. Lorch steps down.
Yes.
And that's kind of the demise of Riverside. What happened at that point? After that?
So, see, Mr. Lorch, our advice was to fight. He never got indicted, though. They never indicted him. I mean, what you said, the second indictment was something in Boston, Massachusetts. I think the statute of limitations over there is different than New York. But as far as New York, he never got indicted.
Right.
They didn't have another kid that came forward, and they tried. I mean, not tried. They opened it up.
Yeah.
Like I said, they had the hotline. We had to give the number, and they didn't need it because they seized. So they had every kid that had tried out for maybe the last 3-4 years.
Yeah.
And they called because parents called us and said, district attorney called there.
Yeah.
And asked, could they speak to my son, whatever. So we tried to say, well, Mr. Lorch, there's no indictment. You got to be strong. But he felt, for the better of the program, for him to step down so that there wouldn't be a stigmatism of the program. He didn't want the program.
The cloud over it. Yeah, he said it's best to step away.
Yes. And that's what he did.
And what happened to the program after that?
Well, what happened was, now Mr. Lorch, I think once he was removed, because he was big on his teams. He wanted to be at practices, and he would, like you say, he was an attorney straight from a case or something. He'd come straight to the gym. I think when he stepped away, his health started to fail. Yep. He actually got dementia and stuff, so the funding wasn't the same. The Nike was still there, but the other funding, and he eventually actually started Metro Hawks that you brought up when we stepped away, because then when Riverside accepted that, then us as a coalition of feeling that we should support him, we all stepped away. So now the program doesn't have any coaches. They had coaches, but not,
Oh, so you stepped away?
Yes, we all stepped away.
Oh, okay.
But at that time, I think Thurman was coaching at Seton Hall and things, so we stepped away and we started Metro Hawks. Okay. Yeah.
When did you find your way to Abraham Lincoln High School?
Well, like I said, so now once I'm rolling in the AU, I'm going to high school games, watch my kids.
Yeah.
Going to watch, and I'm like, looking like, that guy don't know what he's doing. I can coach better than that. Well, how do you get a job in high school?
Yeah.
And so, at that time, I was also part of a very good AU CYO program ran by Junie Francis and Farragut Projects called the Cobras.
Okay.
So where we had Eric Barkley, Omar Cook, and those guys started there.
Right.
And so he was putting my resume out without telling me. And I actually interviewed for Christ the King's freshman job.
Okay.
I didn't get it. But from there, Bishop Loughlin placed the call. Bob Leckie, to his first guy. So I go, it was mid-season, too. It was like December. Yeah, about December. So he wants me to take. I said, how am I going to step in? They already had a coach. Right. I wouldn't feel right. So I'll just wait, let the guy finish out. He said, well, we're not going to keep that guy. And if you want the job, you should take it. I said, yeah, I wouldn't feel right. So he said, all right, let me just let the kids know. And I tell him this day. He calls the kids together, says, guys, I want you to meet Kenny Pretlow. He's your new coach.
Wow.
I'm like, wait a minute.
You just told him no.
and he walks away.
Yeah.
And that was the start of my high school career.
He put you on the hook. Like he
hook.
already told the kids, like, yo, this is your new freshman coach.
And I had some good players on that team. Philip Lyons, who's now a fireman in Maryland. Mm-hmm. Will Dudley, who went to Ohio State. He never came home. He's married out there. And Clifford Strong, who's like a big time detective.
Right.
So those guys, I did such a good job with those guys. He moved them all up as from freshman to JV to varsity the next year.
Wow.
He moved me up to JV because he wanted me, because if you notice the Catholic schools, on Tuesday, JV, varsity together, freshman alone. So he wanted me to be more involved with him, help him out. So he was very good with me. He let me have a lot of input. I told him about, because I always kept 15 guys in high school. Okay. And he was, that's too many. I said, Coach, I reward 3 kids who have great grades. I don't care if they can play basketball or not.
Wow.
If a kid tries out for basketball and he has a 90 average, he's going to make my team.
Wow. Yo, nuggets right there, young coaches.
3 spots. Call it the academic squad. And Coach emulated it. I said, Coach, so if I take 15 and you take 12, that means you're going to cut the academic squad. Those kids work harder than anyone because they're thrilled to be on the team. But guess what? If you're getting 90s in all your class, guess how much work they do during the day, how much work they do at night, and they do basketball. And I still have that tradition to this day. If a kid tries out at Brooklyn Lawn Tech and I see his grades and it's all 90s, he makes the team. I don't care if he could dribble and shoot. If he can't chew gum and walk, you got a 90 average,
He gonna make this squad.
you're on this team. And I call it the academic squad.
Wow.
And it's just a way to reward kids.
For sure.
To show the guys it's not all about basketball. We know these guys can't play, but they're going to get better because you know what? Those kids work really hard in practice.
Yeah.
And my first Law and Tech team, my academic squad, won a game because we had to bench a couple of guys. And one of the academic squad guys went out there and scored like 20 points.
Got busy.
Yes.
Got busy.
So that's, so now I'm at Loughlin
You
for
at
10
Loughlin.
years. Pretty good. Leckie leaves, goes to St. Peter's. Selden went with him. And so I feel I've been here. I should be the next coach.
For sure.
This shouldn't be a problem.
For sure. Kenny P.
I interview for the job, and that's when you find out the dirty politics. Oh, well, does he do this? Does he do that? How does this look? But I also interviewed against Ted Gustis, who I did not know was going for the job. He had retired from Nazareth, and he had did a great job. One of my idols growing up.
Ted Gustis?
Ted Gustis.
Okay.
Watching him coach, as I said. Ray Haskins, big time fan of Ray Haskins. I watch Ray Haskins. If Ray Haskins out of the game, and I ain't have to be nowhere out at that game.
Wow.
And I love watching Ray Haskins coach, the way he, got his guys motivated and running. And I said, wow, this guy's really good. And of course he was. He was winning. But, so, I don't get the job. Gustis offers me to stay on as the JV and assistant him. So I do. I stay. 3 years later, Ted Gustis is stepping down. It's got to be my job now. There's no way
Second
possible.
time around. Yeah, for
Second
sure.
time around. I don't get the job. Goes to Khalid Green. I'm not going to go into that. Khalid is a great guy. He got the job. Right. Whatever happened, but for whatever reason, he got the job. I'm down. I'm hurt. I'm hurting because I don't put 10 years into this program. I get a call. It's Tiny Morton.
Tiny Morton.
Calls me that night. I'm hurt. I'm in the house. I'm hurt. I'm not going to tell you I was hurt.
Yeah.
I'm not going back.
Your spirit is hurt.
I'm broken down.
This is your job. You put pain, sweat, equity into this
position. They're not recognizing and saying it's you.
Why do you think you talk about those dirty politics? What do you think?
I mean, it's just behind the scenes stuff that I don't deal with. Did you shake this?
Okay.
Who knows who? And I just knew it was my job. I was practically told it was my job.
Right.
But I didn't get the job. Mm-hmm. So I'm hurt. That night, Tiny Morton calls me. And he simply said, I know. He said, I don't know what they're doing at Lockland. I know they screwed you. And I know right now you're not thinking about it. But I want you to come to Lincoln. He said, let's talk later. And that's it.
He don't even want you to respond right now.
That's all. Just think about it. That's all. He just planted the seed.
What year we talk about?
That was 2002.
Who was Tiny Morton at this point?
Tiny Morton is about to embark on. He just had lost with Sebastian in the finals.
Okay.
No, I don't think they went to the finals.
I don't think they went. That was Sebastian's freshman year.
So Tiny Morton, who's rolling, has just planted that seed. Okay. So about 2 weeks later, he called me. Hey, let's meet me. Let's eat and talk. And I will simply tell you this. I talked to a couple of my confidants, and June Francis one of them, because like I said, he put my resume out there before I knew it. And he said, and back then he said, that's like Citibank and Chemical Bank merging. Mm-hmm. He said, you know how powerful the two of you would probably be? That's what he told me. Yeah. Because I had my reservations.
Why?
Because I'm like, this is Tiny Morton. Does he really? Because I've been trained to be an assistant. Mm-hmm. I mean, Riverside's training has taught me. So I'm not going to sit on the bench and go, yes, Tiny, yes, Tiny, yes, Tiny, yes, Tiny, yes, Tiny. Yeah, do that, Tiny. Oh, I love that, Tiny. I'm going to go, Tiny, you can't do that. We need to do this. And, I mean, like I said, I can make the suggestion, it's still got to be heard. But if I'm going to suggest, and none of it's never going to be heard, and it's not being fruitful, then why would I stay around? Mm-hmm. So I told Tiny that. And I simply said, Tiny, I think me being your assistant wouldn't work because you're rolling. It's Tiny Morton. I mean,
Tiny Morton had won a championship with Stephon Marbury.
Yes.
And now he had
won as assistant, he was the assistant coach
with Marbury.
Team. Won as a player at Lincoln. People forget that. Mm-hmm. And so now he's got Lincoln. He's rolling. Everybody knows Tiny's about to explode. Sebastian
Telfair, cousin of Stephon Marbury.
Yes. The next controversy that Sebastian's at Lincoln, because every high school in America tried to get him.
Yeah.
He's at Lincoln. Tiny Morton, seed about to blow up.
And you got your reservations.
And I got my reservations.
What was your...
Because I'm saying to myself, Tiny, you're too strong of a coach to have a strong assistant. Mm-hmm. I'm a strong assistant. I've learned to be an assistant. Like, I trained one whole year at Riverside. My first year at Riverside, I never was a head coach. I was an assistant. Mm-hmm. And that's how I learned to be a better head coach. And I was told that when I came there.
Yes, you were.
That wasn't like, hey, be an assistant. No, you're going to learn to be a better head coach by assisting. Mm-hmm. So we meet. I tell him that. And he simply said, that's what I need. I need somebody who will challenge me. And I said, all right, let's give it a try. Let's give it a try.
What was
8 titles together.
You and Tiny won 8 titles at Lincoln. Before we go, what was your I guess relationship with Tiny before then? Had you guys crossed paths?
Tiny, of course, Riverside Church. We tried to get Sebastian to play with us. He had Eric King play with me that summer. Mm-hmm. So Eric King played. Bassie came to a trial, but Tiny was Tiny with that. But so we knew each other of cordial basketball world.
Right.
I'm Riverside's #1 coach at that time because Thurm's in college, Mike's in college. I'm Riverside Church's best coach.
Yeah.
If there's a big game, I'm on it.
Kenny P.
Right. If a head coach of a younger team is screwing up, I'm at that game.
Yeah.
We're not losing today. If I got to take over, that was one thing. You got to take over, you take over. You don't sit there as the program director and watch a team lose when you can enter. So coaches knew that.
Yeah.
Be on your game because I'm at that game. So he told me that. I said, all right, let's give it a try.
Kenny P and Tiny Morton are together. As you mentioned, you guys won 8 titles. You're together. It's like the guy said, like Chase Bank and Chemical Bank combining.
Right.
Talk to me about those first days. Talk to me about the first time Tiny felt just how strong of an assistant you were going to be.
I give Tiny credit. He knew coming in. Mm-hmm. He knew. I'm not going to say that first year, of course, the AA program league hadn't started. So we're playing teams where
The double A PSAL
hadn't
tier.
started yet.
So
So we're playing New Utrecht.
teams that can't compete with you.
Yeah, teams. So we only have one good game, the Grady game. Mm-hmm. So, we had a lot of games where, through my stats, hey this, hey that. Nothing major. We up 50. Whatever you're doing is working. You're good.
Right.
And, what I start learning is Coney Island grit. Mm-hmm. Coney Island is different. And being out there, I learned those guys are different as far as the grittiness of a Coney Island person.
Okay.
All right? So we got that rolling, right? They take it to me, all right? New guy.
The players, Bassey.
The crowd.
Yeah.
Mike the Voice Washington, guys like that. We, things are going good. And I think we get to the Grady game. Packed house back then. Come on, you can see Lincoln and Grady. You could throw a stone and you could hit each other.
Rivalry game.
So we get to that game. We're in there, and Grady's handling us a little bit. Mm-hmm. He's just doing some things, and I just said, the defense we in is not working. We need to adjust a little bit. I think we should I think it was Basil. I think we should try to deny him a little bit. Make somebody else initiate the offense. Because I think that person won't be able to do it as well as he. Right now, they on a roll. Mm-hmm. Boom. I said that in between the timeout. Tiny goes, hey, don't let Basil touch the ball. Boom, boom. Go on a little run, come back, win the game. So I go home a little satisfied. Okay, Tiny Morton listened to a suggestion I gave him.
Yeah.
And we work well together. I mean, we work well together. There were games where, basically he would say to me, what do you think? Mm-hmm. A lot of my suggestions, if it worked, this and that, but I'm a humble guy, so I'm not running around saying what I did not. He makes the call, we all win, we good. So it was a good partnership. I had no problems with my years with Tiny.
At this point,
and he put me on the biggest stage also.
Oh, without question. Are you working in the Lincoln building?
No. I always worked at Law and Tech.
Okay.
I always worked at Law and Tech. Arizona Pearson worked there. And I met Arizona at Lockland because he was assisting Deborah Mortley with the girls.
So after school at Law and Tech, you rush over to Lincoln. You guys have practice?
Yes. I have to drive to Lincoln.
Kenny.
First time I go to Lincoln practice, I learned about Coney Island time, though. Practice at 1. I'm the only guy there at 12:30.
Oh, yeah. Where's everybody at?
Practice at 1. By maybe 2:30, everybody's rolling in. Mm-hmm. Coney Island time. But, yes. So, from Law and Tech to Lincoln High School.
Kenny, tell me about the height of it all. Sebastian era specifically. You guys were rolling. 3 city championships, traveling across the globe, a national schedule. Like, what's that like? What's it like when you coaching a high school basketball game and Derek Jeter walks into the gym?
Crazy.
Jay-Z.
Jay-Z's in the locker room with us. Doing third off the shoulder.
Right.
It was crazy.
Oh, because Sebastian Telfair is the phenom.
Sebastian, I don't care what Sebastian's done since in high school, he was unstoppable.
Indeed.
He was just too good. And he got hurt in that game. High ankle sprain. Played through it. We got the win. And we actually lost our first league game together because we kept trying to play him with a high ankle sprain. We had a matchup against Kyle Lowry in Philly. So, they built it. Bassie versus Kyle. Big thing. It's in Philly. Bassie tried, he couldn't go. So we got to sit this kid. It's a high ankle sprain. High ankle sprain, you can't do anything. You can't try to play. You can try to play on a sprained ankle, not a high ankle sprain. So we sat him for the Sheepshead Bay game. Team we usually beat by 30, 40. Name the score.
Yeah.
They handling us. And Bassie's on the bench. And he goes and gets dressed to play. Second half, third quarter. We wound up losing. Like I said, I was probably my first league loss with Tiny. That must have been, 5? So you're talking about 30 games, 40 games before we lost. And that was the grit of Bassie. He refused to lose. So he went and got dressed.
We saw that play out in his documentary, Through the Fire.
Yes. That is in there.
Kenny P, y'all, it was literally a movie. Y'all made a movie during this era. How does the dynamic in the school, around the team, with Tiny, how does it change as you guys are making this ascension and building a name that's known around the country? Like, how do you keep it all together?
Tiny was good at doing that, and Bassie was just a great kid. Just a great kid. All his teachers, everybody in the school loved Bassie. He didn't have that snob attitude. Like, I'm so good, this and that. He worked well with his teammates. He was adored. It helped that we had Eugene Lawrence to play in the backcourt with him his senior year.
Gino.
And he had a phenomenal, he was actually MVP of the championship game. A lot of people don't understand. And most of our championship games, I'll start and get the MVP. So he was just a great kid. So that made it easy. Everybody wanted him to be successful. So you got movie cameras. You got the book there. So Ian O'Connell was there.
Right.
He's bird dogging us. We got the TV. We got the Through the Fire people. And we also had the other documentary going on. So you got all type of stuff going on. Tiny's Mike, this and that. But the focus never changed. It was never anything big. Tiny never let anybody get too big-headed. He dressed Bassie down. I remember one time the guy from Boys High was ripping him, and I think we lost the borough championship game to Boys High. Tiny ripped into him. He's supposed to be a pro. That's in Through the Fire, too. He's supposed to be a pro, and this and that. So he kept everything even keel. No one's walking around with a big head. Nobody's walking around with a big head. We're linking. We know we good, but we're level-headed. We doing what we do. It's just a byproduct of what I said earlier. When you do it the right way, you're gonna be successful anyway. So we were being very successful.
Because that thing could fall off the rails.
Yes.
You got
jealousy,
attention, family.
Yes.
You got everybody got an opinion.
And by his senior year, you had the pro. Was he going to school? Was he going pro? All that. We had Antonio Pena on that team, who was a very, very, very good player. Antonio, held it down low. We had Gino. So yeah, like you said, it could have been thing, but like I said, everything was even keel. Never went anywhere where anybody thought I'm better than this or we're better than that. And we did a lot. We did a lot of traveling, went to a lot of different games. It was good. That was a good time. Bassie's term was very good.
What was the toughest part of Sebastian's run? Because you guys are number one, and with that spot comes a bullseye. People start talking.
Yes. Probably, like I said, his senior year with the high ankle sprain, fighting through that. like you said, JC and Derek Jeter at the game. Bassie is, he's recognized. He played with Jay-Z in the summer. And it wasn't really tough, but that could have been a point where maybe you start saying things are going to fray a little bit. But like I said, Tiny would keep all that together. He knew everything that was going on and what we had to do. Like, we went to Louisville that year, and we played, he committed to Louisville. So we played, I forgot the big guy's name. He was going to Louisville, too. So Louisville just put the game together.
Yeah.
We're going to fly you guys out. We're going to fly. His team is there. Going to play. We played in this old arena that I think Louisville used to play in. It was sold out.
Yeah.
Lines crazy. And Bassie goes in there and goes berserk. He goes berserk. And, the Louisville people were going crazy.
I was watching Through the Fire with someone who had never seen it. And halfway through it, they're like, how old is Sebastian is? Because he was a polished young man.
Yes.
He was ready for that spotlight. A few things there. That was smart by Louisville. They got some incoming freshmen that they're expecting, so let's bring them and play a game.
They did. They brought us in. I think part of the thing with Bassie had Dan, may he rest in peace. Dan kept him grounded.
His brother.
Oh, yeah. He didn't play games like that. And then, he had his other brother, 530.
Okay.
And they kept him grounded. Like you saw in the video, no Tiger Woods, y'all. No tattoos.
No tattoos.
Keeping it. But those guys kept him grounded. Dan was on the bench with us, great guy. I mean, Dan was the fire.
Yeah.
I was cool. I'm cool. I'm the cool guy.
Right.
Like one time I said something in the huddle and Tiny said, you better listen to him because, he don't never say nothing to y'all in the huddle. Yeah. But, Dan was fire. You guys not ready, I loved it. Like, he just, like you saw it Through the Fire, he did that every game. The lights is on. You got to perform. And
was the safety for Sebastian ever a concern when he gets popular amongst this New York City crowd? Because things can get crazy. Didn't you guys have a game one time when you had to walk off the court with Robeson at St. Francis?
That was the fight, the thing with G. Herb and Bassie. They were top two guards. Yeah. And you know how Mage was. He's going hard. Everybody going hard. So Tiny pulled off the court.
Was there his safety?
He just thought play was too physical, and the refs were letting them get away with it. So you know what, we ain't got to play.
Yeah.
So, but because he didn't have no bodyguards. When we were on trips, he didn't have a bodyguard. One thing about Bassie, whenever we went on a trip, he would bring one of his friends from Coney Island who never traveled.
Nice.
Who would never went anywhere. So every trip, we had a different kid. A friend of his that he grew up. Bassie was phenomenal like that. Like at the end of the year, like toward the end of the thing, we wouldn't practice as hard because we don't want nobody to get hurt. Right. I follow that. Once playoffs come, it's not a lot of hard practicing. We can't afford a sprain ankle, nothing. So Tiny would organize, so we would play 2-on-2. And, he put a pair of sneakers. Whoever wins gets the sneakers. So Bassie had the first pick. And, now, mind you, the captains are Bassie, Eugene, Tony. So the best players are not going to be able to pick each other.
Right.
Bassie has the first pick. There's plenty of guys he can play with. He picked the worst player on the team.
Oh, yeah.
And won 6 straight games. He told them, they're going to double me, just make layups. And I thought that was phenomenal. Because he could have took anybody else. He took the worst player. And gave the kid both pair of sneakers. Which, of course, Bassie could do that. Bassie was a great kid.
Let's talk about that money, them sneakers, man. The contracts were coming in.
He was rolling.
Who was the first deal? Adidas.
Adidas. He got his Adidas contract right out of high school.
How was that? Y'all raised the whole generation of kids that wanted to wear them 3 stripes because Bassie had the little headband on too.
Yes, he had the headband. He had the sneaker. He had the look. He had the smile. I mean, he was a great kid. There was nothing fake about Sebastian Telfair. One of the best guys I ever was around when I got into the high school circles. He was the same kid all the time. He never elevated himself to a level where I'm above you. Don't say nothing to me during no game. You guys give me the ball, move. Nah, he did everything the right way.
He's a good kid.
And yeah, he was rolling, out of high school, got a big family, and he took care of them. I don't get into what happened and why he didn't do this and that. I know one thing. When he went to the NBA, he was a lottery pick and he had a sneaker contract.
Yep.
And he took care of it. It was able to him to take care of his family.
How do you feel when you see him getting some of the legal trouble he's gotten in?
I just unfortunate.
Yeah.
And I just know he's a good kid, and hopefully it'll all go away.
For sure. How did the rest of the city receive you guys' success? Because I feel like
Hate. You saw the article. Get Tiny.
Yeah.
Double page. Get Tiny. Get Tiny for what? He drives an Escalade. He's a teacher. Tiny got a master's degree. People think Tiny he makes good money in the public school. Yeah, he can afford an Escalade. So, he get this player. Eugene Lawrence transferred. Eugene Lawrence didn't want to transfer. His father transferred him. Because his father wanted him to get a Division I scholarship. I don't think that could happen at Canarsie. You're going to Lincoln. You're going to play on the big stage. You're going to go to games. We're going to get a scholarship. Eugene Lawrence, St. John's University. Had a great career at St. John's, too. Yeah. Tiny didn't go get Eugene Lawrence. Eugene's father brought him.
You guys got guys from out of state?
Nah, people say we got guys out of state. Who did we get out of state?
I forget his name, a 7-foot kid. I had it written down.
You mean Tafari?
Nah, dang. You gonna make me pause this thing and stuff. I forget. I think he went to SMU.
The 7-footer?
Yeah.
No, but that's Pony and them's nephew.
Okay.
He's from Lafayette Gardens.
Okay.
But now his mother moved to Virginia.
Okay.
And Pony and the uncles felt that they weren't doing the right thing. Let him come back here, live with us. We sending him to Lincoln.
Okay. Because y'all, man.
And let me tell you something. He was a project. He wound up being all right, but that was my Tiny that you got him. Go down there. I had to teach him how to just look without a basketball. Just learn how to go like this and turn. But he wasn't top play in the country or nothing. That's Pony and them from Lafayette Gardens' nephew, and they convinced his mother to let him come up here and do his last 2 years at Lincoln so we could get a Division I scholarship, which he did.
And the league, the PSAL, like they were looking into you guys because everybody's complaining. Tiny's taking all players. Tiny got this one transferring.
He had the AAU program. So
Juice
now
All-Stars.
everybody's, Juice. Everybody's thinking Tiny's recruiting for Lincoln. Don't play for Juice.
Right.
And, a lot of investigations. But
they never got
like
him.
I said, with investigations, when they die away, you know what happened. There was nothing there.
Yeah.
If you investigate and you find stuff, that's why there's no more mafia. Yeah. They investigate it and they say, hey, you guys are ordering all these killings. Goodbye. If you investigate someone and nothing happens, then there was nothing there. But, yes, a lot of hate.
A lot of hate.
Everybody he's doing this, he's doing that. What's the name transferred? Well, that's after Bassie from Zavarian. Vincent Council and James Padgett. Forget about it. That was the Lance years, which is different from the Bassie years. So
Bassie y'all did your part. It was a movement. It was a movie. It was sneaker deal, NBA lottery pick. Y'all did your part.
I met Jay-Z. I met Beyonce because they came to the draft party.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, this is coaching and living the lifestyle of a rock star.
Indeed. So how do you feel? Like, what's the plan? What are you guys discussing after Sebastian moves on?
Win the title without Sebastian.
That was the goal?
That was the goal.
Why? Show the world?
Show the world.
We not a one-trick pony?
Don't matter. Lincoln basketball.
Yeah.
Tiny was adamant about it.
Really?
Antonio Pena leaves. Makes it even worse. Antonio Pena leaves. He could have been the first player to win 4 straight.
Why did he leave?
Family felt that his academics needed to be brought up to par, so they moved him to a prep school.
Wow.
I don't get into particulars. That's Tiny's job. It made it hard. Tiny tells me Antonio's gone. Got to build a team around Nyan Boateng, true sport player, wound up going to Florida for football, and one of my all-time favorite guards. Or his name's not popping in my head.
Shook?
No, little Hispanic. Went to St. Peter's.
Nick Leon?
Nicholas Leon. That's who we built the team around. No more Bassie, no Antonio. Nyan Boateng, Nicholas Leon.
So it
Never
wasn't
played the point in his life. Always a shooter, great shooter. Becomes the point guard. We lose in the finals.
Nice.
Kennedy. Kid shot the ball, hit the shot clock and went in, and the ref counted it. The shot clock's out of bounds. He said, no, it's not. It was. We could have won that.
So after that magical run with Bassie, 3 chips in a row.
Go to the chip.
You go to the chip.
Lose.
And lose.
Satisfied season. Everybody thinks, oh, it's all about Bassie. No Bassie, Lincoln. Finals. Could have won. Should have won. Antonio Pena stays, we do win. Mm-hmm. Nobody beats us. Nicholas Leon, Nyan Boateng. Rolling. Nicholas Leon goes to St. Peter's, full scholarship. Nyan picks football, goes to Florida. And the other player on that team who was a great scorer, his name is, and he wound up going to Seton Hall after he went through the back door of prep school. Mm-hmm. That was our team. Okay, there's no NBA star here. Mm-hmm. Finals. We good. One thing I learned from Tiny every year, different attitude. No team is the same. So he used to say when we were repeating, you didn't play last year. So what are you repeating?
Yeah.
Your role has changed. So you're different expectations. And I use that to this day. I never judge a team on what the previous year did. That's a different team. Mm-hmm. It's a different team. Even if you were on that team, but you didn't play that much. Maybe you was the backup point guard. Now you're the starting point guard. That's a different situation. It's just like I tell guys, it's a difference when you move one seat over as a coach.
Yeah.
Some coaches get exposed.
Big time. Talking to Mike Kenny.
Okay. Yeah.
So, bam, y'all lose that championship.
Lose.
When does Lance get there?
Oh, man. Lance Stephenson.
Yeah.
That Lance era is about to begin. We just know we're getting Lance. It's a Coney Island thing. Lance Stephenson announces, I'm going to Bishop Loughlin High School.
Why'd you think you were getting Lance? Because he was in Tiny's...
Coney Island.
Yeah.
It's a Coney Island thing. Best players in Coney Island go to Lincoln High School. Yeah. Every Marbury went to Lincoln High School. Sebastian Telfair, Lincoln High School. That's just expected. Mm-hmm. You're going to Lincoln. You live in Coney Island, you're going to Lincoln. It's Coney Island grit, grind, we rolling. Mm-hmm. Lance Stephenson announces Bishop Loughlin High School. Little deflated.
I'm sure.
What we gonna do? Okay, so we get ready. We get Buddha. Underrated player. The motor behind everything we did in that 4 years.
Little point guard.
Little point guard. Tough as nails. Mm-hmm. So we got Buddha. We get this kid, Justin Green, who we thought could be good. Mm-hmm. So we like, okay, we'll recover. We'll be all right. So September hits. Tiny calls me. He said, what are you doing? Tiny, I'm at work. He said, are you standing or sitting down? I said, what do you want me to do? He said, sit down. I got something to tell you. Sit down. He said, I'm at Lincoln right now. And, Tiny never taught at Lincoln. He taught at
a middle school.
The middle school.
Yeah.
8th grade math. Tiny always told me, I teach 8th grade math. I don't teach at Lincoln. Anyway, he said, I'm in Lincoln High School. Okay, what are you doing? He said, Lance is in class. Look at him, like, what are you talking about, T? He said, he's out of Loughlin. He's at Lincoln. He's here right now in class. I came to make sure it was true.
Wow.
Lance Stephenson era begins.
How'd he get there? Why the switch?
Lance didn't like Loughlin. He went to a 3-day program. Mm-hmm. incoming freshman, simply told his parents he didn't like it. I want to go to Lincoln. They did it.
Do you guys know the reason why he even entertained Lachlan?
I mean, it was just, I don't know. I mean, you have to talk to Big Lance and his mother. That was the choice they made. Right. You know, he that's where they decided it was best for him to go. You know, and I mean, the whole process, like I said, Tiny just said it's a Coney Island thing.
Yeah.
It's a Coney Island thing. Mm-hmm. And when he announced that, Coney Island wasn't very happy. Mm-hmm. But so that's as far as I know, he went to the Lachlan.
She went for 3 days.
3 days, incoming freshman orientation. Didn't like it. Went home, told his parents he didn't want to go to Lachlan, and he wanted to go to Lincoln. And they enrolled him in Lincoln that Monday.
So he never even really kind of reached out to you. He just went to Lincoln. Right.
Tiny heard that, Lance starts at Lincoln today. He went to see if it was true and called me to verify and said, Lance is in class.
So what does he do? He just show up to tryouts one day? Like
tryouts. We rocking and rolling. We do our little preseason stuff. Tiny's now we got Buddha, we got Lance, we got now we ready to roll. And it's Nick Leone senior year. Mm-hmm. After the great junior year he just put together. So we're rolling.
You're rolling.
And I'm not going to tell you that. Like, I think as a freshman, Lance averaged 12, 13 points, 14. He didn't average 30, 40 points. Mm. He fit in, following in the tradition of, okay, I'm here. Got some guys that could play. Nick Leone's a senior. Yeah. He's doing his thing, and Lance did what he did.
That's interesting because, Lance's story is 4 years, 4 city championships.
Yes.
But his freshman year, just part of the puzzle.
Part of the puzzle.
Part of the puzzle, man.
Fit in well, great teammate. Brought a crazy intensity to practice. Mm-hmm. Like Lance did not like to lose, period. In practice, whatever. And we had a great other kid that came in, did football, Khalif Staten. Mm-hmm. And the two of them got together, and it was over. It
was problems. Tell me about when Lance really emerged as the Lance Stephenson that owned this city. Like when he let the city be known that it's mine.
I would say sophomore year on. Mm-hmm. Freshman year, you could see the talent. It was the moments, but his sophomore year, he was dominant from day one. Just, I'm here. What do you have, about 30? Yeah. Just dominant. Rebounding, toughness, defense, everything. And then we had him, Khalif, and Buddha. I mean, them three dudes together on a mission. Problems. Didn't matter who we was playing. We had 3 intense guys whose mission was we're going to win, no matter what.
And with Lance, the stage is kind of already set because of what Sebastian had done.
Well, but see, one of the things was some people, you got to remember his nickname, Born Ready.
Yep.
So now it's his stage. Mm-hmm. All right, you're born ready. It's Lincoln High School. Your predecessor won 3. The only way you can outdo him is to win 4. Mm-hmm. That was his mission. That was his father's mission.
Wow.
We got to outdo Bassie.
Wow.
So he got 3. We got to get 4.
And he did.
He did.
And
we had some, his junior and senior years, we almost lost both years. Canarsie, overtime, both times. And Bassie, Lance saved, I don't know if it was, I think it was his senior year. I think they were up 2, and the kid was on a breakaway. Lance had 4, so he's under instructions not to foul.
4 fouls, yep.
Yeah, but if he doesn't foul, the kid's going to get a layup, breakaway layup. We're going to lose. Be up 4 because it was late. Lance lays out and dives, hits the kid. So that's a 1-and-1. Kid misses. We get the rebound. Kid named Vance Kelly, another Coney Island kid nobody knew about. Came to Lincoln with some fanfare. He was pretty good. Hits a corner jumper to tie it. We go to overtime and win the game with no Lance. Double overtime.
And he made that sacrifice to.
If he does not foul that kid, we lose. That kid, if Lance says, I got 4, I got to let him go, that kid's not going to miss a layup. Puts them up 4 with, I think it would have been 20, 30 seconds. I don't think we win that game.
How would you compare the Bassie era to Lance's run?
Probably Lance's run was harder for the simple fact is the competition level had went up. Remember, the AA had started.
The AA high school division.
So now all the top teams in Brooklyn are in one division. So we didn't go undefeated.
Right.
I think 2 of Bassie's year we went undefeated in league play. We didn't go undefeated. I know his senior year we lost 11 games. Well, we also went around the nation and lost some games. We lost to Tristan Thompson. We lost to DeMarcus Cousins. We lost to Duncanville. So the company we lost to kid at Favors, Derek Favors. So the competition level for Lance was harder because the AA had started.
Right.
So now you got the Lincoln hate, you got Lance. So we the team everybody love to hate. Come watch. Everybody putting out their best efforts. So a little harder. Bassie's senior year, we had that a little because the league had started then. But Lance, much harder, a little harder. Senior year, we were down. And then in the playoffs, Lance sacrificed and went down low.
Wow.
Played down low. Post-ups. And I'll never forget, we were playing, and all these kids had their moments, but this one played in the high. We're down 15, St. Francis, Brooklyn Borough Championships. They had a great team, Jamal Nixon, who almost came to Lincoln. They got a great team, the shooter, they're loaded, and we're just getting our butts handed to us. It doesn't look good. Jamal Nixon goes baseline. Lance steps in help. And Jamal didn't dunk it hard, but he dunked it.
Yeah.
Little dunk.
Yeah.
Tiny calls a timeout. They're walking to the thing. We're down 15, I'll never forget. We're 15 points down. So Tiny comes, going to the huddle. I don't got nothing to say. I'm perplexed. It's just not our day. It's the Brooklyn Borough, so we're not still going to the playoffs.
Yeah.
So Tiny is getting ready to say something. Lance bends over to his team. He said, give me, I can curse on it.
Yeah, go for it.
Give me the fucking ball, because I'm about to bust these motherfuckers' asses. Tiny didn't say a word. Went out. Lance went on a 15-0 run by himself. Tied the game. Couple of blocks, great rebounds. Last play of the game, tie game, gets into the middle of the court. Knew everybody was going to come. Hits his, of course, who else? The motor, Buddha, corner jumper for the win. And I'll never forget that.
Big time. Big time.
And I've had that moments with other players where they say, hey, I got it.
Yeah.
And I tell guys, that's a moment, that's not something a coach says.
Yeah.
Like, hey, Lance, we need to take over. No, Lance looks, okay, that's it. Give me the fucking ball. Give me the fucking ball. It's over. Bust these guys. And he did it. He went out there and did it.
Kenny, I had Ruth Lovelace in here, and we was going through the years. She said, Lance, a man amongst boys.
Yes.
Like, he was different.
Different.
That's why it pains me sometimes when in the NBA they kind of think of him as the jokester, the guy that wants to blow in LeBron's ear. Like, this dude was a beast.
A beast. A beast. His run, look what he did. Second round pick, goes to Indiana.
Yeah.
And then Larry Bird builds the team around him.
Yeah.
Second pick, and second team. He was just a beast.
Yeah.
And I don't deal with NBA things. Like I tell people, like, oh, they didn't. You ever play in the NBA?
Right.
Ever get a check? Because them NBA checks are a little different.
Yes, sir.
It could set you up for life. One.
Yeah.
And those guys, Bassey was in there for 9.
Yeah.
And he was in there at that time, I think about 6 or 7.
Yeah.
And I simply tell people, I don't deal with success, this and that. Because you know what? Like I tell them, you get an NBA check. One of them might set you up for life. But a beast.
Beast.
Man, he was a man amongst boys.
Born ready.
Born ready. And he was. Great 4-year run. Won it all. History. Loved the fact that Buddha was his guy. Because his motor was just as big.
Yep.
And those two guys got it done.
When it was time for Lance to go to college, it was a little rough. He ended up going to Cincinnati on a financial aid packet. He didn't even have a scholarship. Kenny, what happened there?
Like I said, those type of things I left to Tiny. I probably was at Law and Tech. I mean, I knew what was going on, but just different things of some coaches being turned off by, like a lot of guys would look at Lance and think he's crazy. No, he's intense.
Big time.
And so, I mean, it worked out for him. Looked like he was going to Kansas. Looked like it was going to be Kansas, and then something happened. I think somebody else signed, and then Kansas backed away. I forgot who signed. Somebody signed. And, because after a while, people don't know, if you pick a school in August and July, the scholarship money's probably gone. So you get what's called a financial aid package, which is just like a scholarship. It's not like he's paying. Right. And it worked out.
Yeah, it did.
Went to the NBA, and like I said, once you get to the NBA and you're getting checks, you're better off than I am. I'm still getting board ed checks.
For sure. Lance moves on. You guys end up with another NBA player, Isaiah Whitehead.
Right behind him, coming. We knew we had him.
Yeah.
It was a done deal. There was no courting of other schools. Isaiah Whitehead is coming to Lincoln High School. That's a done deal. We know how good he is.
Yeah.
Jermaine, may rest in peace, did a great job of getting him ready. 7th and 8th grade, he played with him. He challenged him.
Played with him where?
In AU for juice. Tiny
yeah.
still got the juice thing going. So Jermaine is really doing great things with him. His mother's salt of the earth. She's behind us. This is where my baby's going. You guys are going to get him ready. So the Isaiah Whitehead era begins. Not in championships, not the same level, but as far as the tradition, being a great kid, being welcomed by his teammates, doing well in school, because all these guys did well in school. People want to say, oh, this, and that. All of them qualified for college.
Yes.
You can't get around that. That's a transcript. You don't just show up at a college, they say you're in. They do have to make sure your grades are where they are. Great kids, irregardless of a couple of run-ins here and there, and everybody that, nothing major, but so the Isaiah Whitehead, as far as that, successful.
That's what I was going to ask you. How does it compare? 'Cause I know Bassey had 3 championships, Lance had 4. Isaiah was only able to capture 1,
And lost. We look with one of the worst defeats of my career with Tiny. My Tiny career is losing in the Final Four of that year. We should have repeated. We had, Whitehead back, Desi.
What happened? So who you lose to? Who'd you lose
We lost to Jefferson.
Okay.
Jefferson kind of surprised us with a 2-3 zone. We didn't shoot well against it. Guys that usually don't shoot well for them shot well.
Yeah.
And they played a really good game. They played a really good game. It still went down the wire. I thought a very bad referee call on Desi was in foul trouble all game. 5 minutes ago, I said, T, we got to get Desi out there. Can't lose with him on the bench. We was doing offense, defense. Got to let him play. I said, and I don't care what the refs try to tell you. I said, Desi, if anybody come near you, just put your hands in and move.
Yeah.
Okay, we need you to finish the game. Kid goes baseline. Desi does exactly what it said. Kid came at him. He turned, put his hands up. Kid throws it in, and The referee calls an and one. I'm like, he didn't touch him. He didn't go near him.
Right.
And that was it. That was the nail in the coffin. But their junior year, and that's another thing. Desi was MVP in the Garden. We beat Jefferson in the Garden.
The year before.
The year before. I think Desi had 20 points, 20 rebounds. Whitehead. But I was happy because not that it's pressure internally, but you know the word is, oh, Whitehead, he ain't win a championship, his freshman and sophomore years. He ain't win. Yeah. He's not as good. And he was. Worked hard. Same epitome of the three of them. Mm-hmm. All of them were McDonald's All-Americans. Tiny did a great job of developing and nurturing and getting his guys the utmost coverage and stuff that they needed as far as McDonald's All-Americans, pro exposure, college exposure. He did a great job of handling that.
And that's what I wanted to know about Whitehead, because by the time he got there, the name is out there. The pressure is building. You got Telfair, you got Sebastian. Should we go back to Marbury? Right. So it's interesting that you said he always knew he was coming to Lincoln.
Yes. He
wanted that responsibility.
Yes. There was no if and I mean not that it was a lot with Bassie and that Bassie freshman year, but there were other schools that pursued him very, very hard. And of course, like I said, Lance had actually picked Lachlan. Yeah. But Whitehead, 7th, 8th grade on, is coming.
I'm going to put on for the town.
I'm going to Lincoln.
Yeah. I'm glad he was able to get that championship.
Yes. Great kid, still gives back to the community.
He always outside.
Always.
Always outside, Kenny.
Always.
Kenny, a new chapter in your career is about to start. Isaiah Whitehead goes to Seton Hall.
Yes.
But he also is joined by
Tiny Morton.
Tiny Morton, the man that's been at the helm for Lincoln throughout this run, your head coach.
Built the program. It's his program.
How were you notified? Did you guys have a discussion about this?
Yes, of course. Houses takes me out, says, I need to talk to you. Tells me, looks like I'm going to Seton Hall. Mixed emotions. I tell him, I think you shouldn't go. It's your program. You built this, running things, but I need a new challenge. So I want you to take the job. I said, Tiny, if you leave, of course I'll take the job.
Yeah. And you did.
I did.
Lead chair, Kenny. What's your mindset? What you thinking about? How you feeling?
First thing I'm doing is I'm going through all the different press stuff that I had to do. New chapter, Lincoln coach, is he ready? Tiny Morton is gone. And, I think my first real incident was with Under Armour. He sent me a contract with 15 pairs of sneakers, 10. I'm like, what is this? This is not what we get at Lincoln. They're like, well, Tiny's not there. Yeah, but I was here during the Tiny years. Well, you guys don't notice I was right there? I'm his right-hand man. If Mike Krzyzewski leaves tomorrow, do you think the guy he and Tim that Nike's pulling out?
So they was trying to give you less gear?
Yes. That was my first test. I'm like, you guys got to be kidding me.
Right.
So, of course, we got that straight.
Yeah.
We get what we get. It's Lincoln High School. I'm coaching. That doesn't mean Lincoln High School is going to be off the map.
Right.
Maybe y'all don't know. Okay? Check the resume a little bit.
Yeah.
That was my first test.
Yeah.
And, young team. Tyler Bourne decides he's coming to Lincoln. Another Coney Island guy that was considering other options. Met with his father and him in Tillery Park. Got a commitment that he was coming. Donald Flores, man, love him to death. Kid worked so hard. He's coming, Coney Island kid. He was at St. Raymond's. He's on his way for his sophomore year. Paul Pearson's coming in as a freshman. So I'm going to have 2 freshmen and a sophomore. Yeah. I have Ezekiel Charles, who's a junior the following year. Going to have a bigger role, trying to prepare him for that. And a big kid named Gregory Poleon, who's playing pro basketball overseas a lot now, doing great things. That's my center. And just let's go, guys.
Let's go.
They're going to doubt us. They're going to say I'm not ready.
Yeah.
Lincoln's going to be down.
For sure.
And we're going to do things. I go right in. I schedule the hardest games we could get. I schedule Lou High. You know, we already got the other things. But let's go. Let's get it going.
And how did the season turn out?
It turned out well. Wound up tying Jefferson for the division. And first Jefferson game, this when I won the team over. So, of course, I was trying to do, like, sticking as close to what Tiny did. Like, I told people, like, you build a foundation of a house. Somebody else could buy the house, but that foundation doesn't change. You don't tear the house down, get rid of the foundation, start over. You move stuff around.
Right.
So I'm moving stuff around, but I'm sticking to the foundation. So we're playing Jeff first game. It's our first test, right? We had lost to Lou High, but, you know, we played pretty well. Think Tyler didn't shoot well that game. So that week in practice, Tyler, I did guards. I had a great assistant, Jake Ellis, who's running Canarsie now. Oh. He's doing my bigs, doing a great job, developed the kid for me. So, you know, I'm over there with Tyler. You can't shoot 1 for 8 in my offense. Makes me look bad. Like, why is he shooting like that again? So getting him straight, we got Jefferson, at Jefferson. And we go, so I'm following what Tiny would do. Like Tiny would do this, he would do that. So we doing that, and we're down about 20. About 20.
Yeah.
So I can sense, like I got the cone out, I can sense it. Like, he ain't ready for this.
Yeah.
So I call a timeout. And I simply said to my team, I apologize for trying to coach a game the way I wouldn't coach a game like this. Okay? Let's scrap everything that I've been saying. Everybody, put your fucking chest on the man you're guarding. Get physical, and then let's get out and run. Mm-hmm. Make the extra pass, and we can win this game.
Yeah.
About 5 minutes later, game stopped.
There you go.
It took great plays by Shamari Pons to beat us. He hit a 3, stole an inbounds pass, wound up losing by 4 or 5 points. But I know, like I said, you don't have to be smug and you could be humble. I left there knowing my team now, he can coach.
Yeah.
And the guys, the Coney Island guys are like, now they say, all right, we can roll. I think probably won about 15 straight after that.
That's dope. That's dope. You learn that day you got to do it your way.
Got to do it my way.
You
I want to be as close as possible, but to the way I want to go, I can't do it that. I got to do it this way. So I'm my own assistant in that. So, you know, suggest, why are you doing that? It's not what you do. So I said, all right, you're right. And I apologized to my team.
Kenny, that took some guts to apologize to your team, to have that mea culpa in front of them, to, I guess, put your ego to the side and say, yo,
yes.
what I was doing was wrong.
Because I wanted them to know it's not you. I put you in a bad situation. That's why it is what it is right now. I did that. I apologize. But this is what now, that's going, this is what we getting ready to do. So now, if they ain't going to fall in line, it's your fault.
Yeah.
And we beat Jefferson in the rematch, and we lost to them in the borough by 1. Mm-hmm. So, good season.
A lot of coaches, they don't have that ability to look in the mirror and be critical of themselves. And it's the kids can sense it. It's disingenuous. And I feel like that team's never maximized the potential when you have somebody like that at the helm who's always right or who tries to justify wrongdoings. It's sad out here, Kenny.
It's part of being humble,
yeah,
which I've always learned, that you don't say to yourself, what did I do? What did I do wrong? One of the things we used to do at Riverside was say, as a coach, you should be worth 6 points. So when you lose by less than 6 points, it's your fault. Because you're worth 6 points.
Wow.
So I tell my team, I'm worth 6 points. So what you do with those 6 points could be to win or lose. Right. So I do that a lot. I am very self-critical. I will say I blew that. You know, and then I have good support people that I could talk to.
Yeah.
You know, like Billy Turner at Wings, he's like my brother. I could call him and say, yo, at the end of the game, I think, oh, you dumb motherfucker, you should have. I said, you're right. Oh, man, I was bugging. And, you know, I just had, like, really good mentors that taught me things. Like, a lot of them have passed on. Dennis Miller, he helped me. He was such a good mentor for me. I learned a lot from Tiny, a whole lot of managing and doing things, you know. So, just being humble. So if you can't criticize yourself, then what are you doing? So like you said, then it's never your fault. I never did nothing wrong. I've apologized other times to teams. Like, that's my fault. I blew that. I shouldn't have did that. That way they know. So if I'm holding you accountable, I got to hold myself accountable. Because the kid can't come to me and say, Coach, you wrong. Because he would say, well, I did that, Coach. So I'll do it for you. Yeah, I blew that. My fault.
And you also build credibility with your audience.
Yes.
All right.
And like I tell the kids, when any good coach, once you see that the coming back, like my kids come back. And when they come back, I let them talk to the team, no matter who it is. Like the other day, my two seniors, Jakai White, who's at SUNY Brockport, and Isaiah Folk, who's at New Paltz, came to the game, and at halftime, I let them speak.
Wow.
And they tell him, yo, everything he said, yeah, that's what's going on in college.
Yeah.
You know, professors, you know, being on time, because I'm huge on making sure that they understand. Being on time gets you a job one day. I tell them all the time, rich and powerful people look, saying, who's that? He's always on time, always doing his job. I like him. And once somebody that's rich and powerful likes you, you start getting elevated. Yes.
Kenny, first year head coach at Lincoln. What was the record?
25-4.
What'd you guys do in the playoffs?
Lost in the quarterfinals to Boys High, which was the fourth game. We had won 3. We had won the first 3, and the fourth game, they got us.
So you feel like you found your voice as a head coach. The future's looking bright. Do you feel like you have the support of the school and the community at this time?
Yes. Yes.
And then I guess word comes down that Tiny Morton is leaving Seton Hall.
Heard it. The thing was, I am a little tuned in. I'm not your average Joe.
Right.
I do have friends in the college environment who are now placing calls. Tiny's coming back.